Everyone, Daljeet Peterson here from astrolab21.com. We're going to talk about Capricorn season in this video. Yesterday, as a matter of fact, was the beginning of Capricorn season. It was the official beginning of winter solstice, the shortest day and longest night of the year. Certainly feeling a lot like winter here in New England. The sun rising very low and very southerly in the sky, and not getting very high and setting very low. Very short day, but a beautiful night. I don't know if you have a chance to see the skies where you are. Mars in particular has been really strong and brilliant in the evening sky. It's nearly in the opposite side of to the sun over there in Gemini. Every morning when I wake up pre-dawn, it's right out there in the western horizon and setting, so pretty spectacular. Saturn has also been pretty brilliant in the night skies this time of year, or this year. So yeah, let's talk about some astrology. Get ready for closing out this year of 2022. Hard to believe another year is gone and we're getting prepared for a new year, which I have been preparing for as well. I've written a few articles. I don't know if you follow me on Medium. You'll know that I've done a few articles here for the 2023 preview. I plan on recording some videos after the holiday here, and we'll be looking at what's to come in this new year. But first, we gotta put the final chapter here on 2022. So, without any further ado, let's jump in and I'll bring up the chart here and just have the sky now up for, right now, December 22nd at about 10:52, 10:53 in the morning. And you see the sun has made its ingress into the sign of Capricorn at this first degree here. And as a matter of fact, is it going to be... so anyway, one of the first things we're going to observe here is as it enters Capricorn at 0 degrees, it's making a nice square here to Jupiter, who has just gone back into the sign of Aries after its retrograde brought it back into Pisces for a while. Talked about this in last month's Sagittarius season video, right? It was like a last chance to sort of get in touch with our soul purpose. I feel like Jupiter in Pisces, right? It's a sign of its own rulership. Jupiter really expands and deepens our ability to touch that part of us that is deeply connected to Source, that is awareness that that Source is our soul, and our soul is that Source. So really inspiring time. And now as Jupiter now is moving direct and moving much faster, or picking up speed after that retrograde period, it's starting to move quicker, and it's going to move through the sign of Aries as it picks up speed, moving towards the conjunction later or earlier in 2023. So in about 6 months, it'll move all the way through Aries and head into Taurus in the second half of 2023. So really initiating energy. This is a new cycle beginning for the planet Jupiter. Anytime it crosses over from Pisces into Aries, right? This is a new 12-year cycle for Jupiter. So there's a newness, there's an initiative quality, there's an exuberance, right? Jupiter, the planet of exuberance and the great benefic, right? Moving through Aries, the sign of ambition and adventure and aggressive nature. So like we're ready for something new, right? And so that's a good kickoff to this Capricorn season, right? So the square through the sun. And as I'm saying and thinking about this, it's like that soul purpose gets connected to our life purpose. The Capricorn sun is really about a life purpose. It's a lot more grounded, it's earthy, it's more practical. It's like, what are we here to do, right? It wants to accomplish things. The sun moving through Capricorn is a very practical time of year, right? So this feels like a good initiation to the Capricorn season. This aspect is, even though it's square, it has a lot of power to it. It has a lot of energy. So that Jupiter and Aries is bringing the vision, right? The enthusiasm, to the Capricorn sun the will to do, to build, to be successful, to put our noses to the grindstone in some ways. So kind of interesting, because we are in holiday season, so we're ready to take a few weeks off of work. We're going to talk about that. There is a nice window here as we start the new, finish the old year, start the new, where there's some reflection, and we'll see that coming up with Mercury retrograde. But before we get there, let's just, if we move forward just to tomorrow, on the 23rd here, we're going to get the Capricorn new moon. And again, we're the second or third month in a row where the new moon has occurred right at the beginning of the season, usually in the first or 1 or 2 degrees of the sign. So here at 1 degrees Cap, new moon. And I feel like this is kicking off a kind of a Capricorn party going on for the month, for the rest of this year and into early January. We've got Mercury, Venus, and Pluto all in Capricorn as well. So as the sun makes its conjunction, or the moon makes its conjunction with the sun, I should say, if we just roll through, from the 23rd and all the way going through Christmas Eve day, the moon will contact Venus first, and then hours later it's going to contact Mercury, and by the end of Christmas Eve, just hours before, the moon will conjunct Pluto in Capricorn. So a lot of energy, sort of activating this Capricorn archetype for the season. It feels like it's a real, I was thinking about the word cornucopia, right? Which is obviously it's a symbol for this time of year, Thanksgiving and into Christmas. The traditional decoration, right, where it's like the goat's horn, right? Capricorn, the goat, full of the bounty of the seasonal harvest that we've gathered throughout fall. And as we prepare for winter, we're starting to appreciate and have gratitude for the harvest of this year, preparing for next year. So it's like that symbol of the goat's horn that's spilling over with fruits and flowers and goodies, and it's a rich symbol, one that apt for this year, I think. And I think as we're looking back on 2022, as difficult as a year as it's been, I think the last 2 or 3 years have been 2020, 2021, 2022. We had some heavy duty transits. We've run the gauntlet here, and we're starting to move away from some of those much more tense aspects that we've lived through. Certainly that Saturn-Uranus square is starting to let up, where we've moved past the orb of influence, with Saturn now at 21 degrees. Uranus still moving retrograde at 15, so it's backing up. Saturn is pulling away, it's separating from that aspect. So that tension has been relieved. And so, there's a really nice energy to this Capricorn season. I feel like, this Venus presence along with Mercury, all in the same sign, all kind of having a party together. And so it's something to be grateful for. And I was thinking about that Venus energy particularly adds a degree of gratitude for what we've had. And I was thinking about the old Seinfeld episode of Festivus and the airing of grievances, which is a pretty hilarious take on the holiday season. But we all have some grievances. We've had some tough goes here in the last couple of years, but there is silver linings, and I'm reminded that it's good to be grateful for what we do have, right? So throw a little gratitude into your grievances, and I think it's appropriate. So we're off and running here into Cap season. Now the next thing coming up in Capricorn news here is, let me move this to the day, it's on December 29th, we see that Mercury is about to make its station retrograde. So last retrograde of 2022, this will actually cross the boundary into the new year. Mercury is going to stay retrograde until January 18th of 2024. So, Mercury retrograde in the sort of practical, almost sobering earth sign of Capricorn, sort of a sober end to the year with this retrograde period, but I think appropriately so. I think it's good to sort of take stock in where we've come for and get ready for this new year with a more sort of sober, clear-minded, focused mindset as we enter into 2023, because as we'll be talking about in some videos upcoming about the new year, while there's not so many heavy aspects as we've had in the last couple, there are some major shifts taking place. We've got Saturn moving and changing signs, moving into Pisces. We're going to have Pluto shifting for a period into Aquarius before retrograding back into Capricorn. So a lot of, I'm talking about unfinished business in Capricorn that we're all still going to be dealing with individually and certainly collectively over the next 18 months. So here in a Capricorn season, I think with a Mercury retrograde, really good time to get the house in order, if you will. The mental, the ideas about the structure of our lives, that Capricorn. What are we building for? What are we setting the foundation for that's going to spring us forward into the next few years? And really, there's a whole new cycle unfolding that's going to begin over the next year, year and a half. All the outer planets are going to be shifting signs in the next 2 or 3 years. There's a huge transition we're in the midst of, and we're still, I call 2023 the year of the crowning, right? And I'm thinking of this analogy of we're all being reborn in a way. There's this collective rebirthing going on, like we're leaving the old world behind and going into a new world, quite literally. So it's like the womb is like the history of the 20th century, and we're being born into the 21st century proper here. I really feel like the astrology of this next couple years is kind of showing us that. And so it's like during 2023, we're crowning, right? That idea of when the baby's about to leave the birth canal and it first crowns, right? Its head isn't quite out yet. It's not breathing yet. It's still in the womb, but it's like the first moment. And so 2023 is going to feel like that. We're crowning, but we're not quite ready to be reborn yet because there's some unfinished business keeping us, pulling us literally back into the canal and into the womb, right? I talk about the umbilical cord of Capricorn is still got it's got its reins on us quite tightly still. We haven't solved that yet. So, there could be some complications. But I'm going to get into all that in the next video, and that hopefully that metaphor will become very clear. But just in discussing this Capricorn season, this Mercury retrograde, in the presence, the fact that it stations retrograde exactly conjunct Venus, right? It adds this degree of gentleness, of kindness, of compassion. It brings that Venusian quality where it's like this is going to be a retrograde period to really do a lot of self-care to our physical, our emotional, our mental, our spiritual well-being, and to really reflect on how do I want to take care of myself? What is important to me? What do I value? Venus, right? How am I relating, right? Can I do better in my relationships? Can I build better relationships? Venus in Capricorn. So again, I think it ties in with this theme of gratitude, of the quietude of this season too, right? We're in winter, these short days, long nights. There's a lot more time for reflection, for going inward, for being more introspective, despite it being, Capricorn being a cardinal sign and the sun moving through there. So there's this, you've got that Jupiter sun energy. Okay, there's something new, but at the same time, it's kind of a push-pull. There's also this energy that wants us to reflect and be a little bit more considerate and introspective during this period. So you may feel both of those energies kind of coming our way at once. If we look towards the new year, so New Year's Eve coming into New Year's Day, we can see the sun is going to make a pretty nice trine here, little Earth trine with Uranus there in Taurus, still retrograde, moving back towards the North Node in Taurus. If I go just a few hours later on the 31st and into the new year here we go. We can see the moon also coming into this this trine configuration. So yeah, getting exactly conjoined and sitting there with the North Node and Uranus. So this is another, I think, sort of feels like a blessing, right? Again, this earthy, practical trine energy, this Capricorn sun. Connecting to this point too, and let's remember that, you know, this part of the sky just last month was pretty heavy duty in terms of being that place where we had that full solar eclipse in Taurus, right? And this happened right during the midterm elections. It also coincided with that just dramatic collapse of the FTX crypto exchange. We've been talking about the Uranus-Saturn square for a couple years, being this is all about money and finances and the economy, and that turned out to be the sort of last tense moment, I think, between those energies on that front. So, you know, now with Capricorn coming through and the sun in Capricorn kind of shining a much more sort of objective light on that whole thing, you know, maybe I think a lot of things are continuing to come to light. Of course, Sam Bankman-Fried has been arrested, and so it'll be interesting to see what unfolds with that case. But I would expect there's going to be the beginning of a lot of talk of rules and regulations in the crypto space, in the financial world, right? Capricorn sun, the authority, the rule giver, the lawgiver, and that, you know, trying to find that happy medium where I think the crypto world is maybe ready to embrace more of this regulation so that they can be legitimized. We currently have the Fed doing its test of its own digital currency as we speak. It's in the middle of I think a 6-week test market with central bank digital currency, CBDC. This is not over, right? I think this sort of battle over the economy and economics is going to continue for the rest of Uranus's transit through Taurus, and there's some other things coming down the road, Pluto into Aquarius. This is not the last that we've heard of this debate, but something is in the air in terms of clearing the air about what was hidden, what was exposed, revealed during that eclipse. A lot of shady business dealings, a lot of connections politically to that, to FTX, to SBF, his political donations, other people inside the company. They were buying political influence across the aisle. It'll be very interesting to see how that court case plays out, if at all. So stay tuned to that. So I thought that was interesting. But again, the message here, I think, if we can take it back down to the individual level, right, is like there's something of the message of this is, you know, get your own financial house in order, right? Because I think we need to be prepared, Capricorn, to endure some financial difficulties and ups and downs, some sudden volatility, right? With Uranus still in Taurus, right? I think part of the economic forecast for 2023 is there's going to be some ups and downs. There's going to be some disruptions coming our way. So this is a period of like, okay, how can I secure my future, right? Taurus is all about security, that wealth, the financial well-being, the security, monetarily, in terms of our resources, how we are sustaining ourselves and our lives and our families. Something of an insight, and I think with that Mercury retrograde, some of these things we'll be thinking about. You know, what is how is my own personal balance sheet, right? And that it came up that they had a few $billion hole in their balance sheet, FTX. It's like, well, do we have holes in our own personal balance sheets that we're having trouble covering? Or, do you have a lot of credit card debt, right? Are you invested in the market? Are you really aware of your 401k and all your investments? Like, it's a good time to really get clear about where your money is allocated. Great time to start thinking about paying down debts if you have them, right? You're just going to get some insights, and you're going to feel this need. You may feel this need to double down on your security, and it's a good time to do that. It'll be very well aligned with the energies, because we don't want to get caught by surprise with some of the, I think this inflationary stuff, some supply chain stuff, this war in the Ukraine. And I think a lot of us would like to see it ending. This is not the end. This is likely to go on for another couple of years at minimum. So the disruption that will cause to the global economy, to supply chain, to food sources, still very much alive, even though it's going into a winter quiet. So let's, so that's that. If we move forward, so there's New Year's Day. On January 3rd, we see that Venus makes its ingress into the sign of Aquarius. And again, this energy back and forth, Capricorn to Aquarius, is for the last few years, I think we're really, every time we get transits across this place, really reminding us of this bigger shift that we're in the midst of. Where, as we anticipate, Pluto will make its ingress into Aquarius early next year. And I'm reminded of the fact that just in, the great conjunction we had between Saturn and Jupiter at 0 degrees Aquarius at the end of 2020 was such a huge sort of gateway to this 20-year period that we're starting. And in a way, it's like a multi-century period. We're moving into this air epic, right? The Great Mutation, as it was called. We've moved into conjunctions of Jupiter and Saturn occurring in air signs, and Aquarius is the first one. So the 0 degrees Aquarius point is really quite alive for us right now. And so as it activates it, this Venus transit for these just a day or two, around this time, though, it's like really another new beginning here right in the new year. And right, so what is Venus in Aquarius like? Well, it's really bringing out the things that we do appreciate and love and value, that bring us pleasure in the area of Aquarian things, right? Like the innovative, the progressive, the revolutionary, right? The rebellious, the eccentric, the iconoclastic, scientific things, future-oriented, right? So love of technology and all these sorts of things you could start to think about as Venus moves through Aquarius. So it just may bring out our desire to be more rebellious, to be a little more freedom-loving. It may create, bring out our eccentric sides in terms of how we relate, in terms of some of our maybe sexual interests or desires, or the sensual, the sexual, the aesthetic, the artistic. Venus represents all of those things. So it's just a nice, after being in Capricorn, it's been a very kind of practical, type of experience. Now we're moving into this a little more freedom-loving, a little airy, right? We're coming into more of our heads in a way, in terms of the beautiful ideas, right? It's a nice expression of Venus in Aquarius. Beautiful, idealistic visions may come to us. And just, I feel like, encounters with people. Aquarius is also that sort of the social and the group mentality, right? So relationships and encounters with people who are of like mind within social settings and groups or peer groups, associations, clubs, right? That sort of thing, your social network. You may encounter some interesting people who have very interesting ideas that you find very curious and provocative and enticing, and you may be called into some of those relationship dynamics. And so be aware of that. There could be some, again, the gift, Venus bringing the gift with it as a benefic, if you will. What else do I want to get? Yeah, the last thing is we'll look at the Cancer full moon, right, opposing this Cap sun. That's going to be January 6th. Unfortunately, a new sort of annual sort of holiday. It's like Pearl Harbor Day or something like that. But on January 6th, we will have the Cancer full moon. And again, I'm seeing, it's in a nice harmonious sextile aspect to this Uranus in Taurus. That trine with the sun is actually, has perfected. So it's even tighter by this time. And with this oppositional energy, Mars itself in trine, retrograde Mars trining that new Venus in Aquarius. So these two air signs, even though Mars is retrograde, any contact, especially a trine between Mars and Venus, is a very stimulating, erotic type of energy. But it's a mental stimulation. So our dreams, our fantasies, our image, our imagination could get really sparked during this this full moon. So, it adds a nice sort of new dimension to that. We'll get that very typical Cancer full moon energy, right? It's like the home and comfort and family and tradition, right? Those are all always sort of resonant with a full moon in Cancer. But this year it seems like, this particular lunation, all of this, Aquarius, Uranus, these trines, it's like there's something much more exciting and innovative and unexpected, right? You get unexpected house guests, right? Or the idea that it's calling us to a new way of seeing things, right? That vision that Uranus has, the vision that Aquarius has. And so in this Cancer full moon, I couldn't help thinking about it's like sometimes that unexpected is already right under our noses. The new is calling us. We're just not aware of it because we're not seeing it properly. It's like you kind of squint or looking askew or sideways to see it in a different light, or even closing your eyes completely, right, and just letting that inner sense, your spidey sense, getting your antenna up for the new, the bold, the innovative, the creative, the inventive, the romantic, the erotic, the sensual, the aesthetic, all of this. A lot of really nice energy, right, with this Jupiter, with, we got both the benefics involved. Saturn's not really driving us crazy. Kind of not really making any aspects here. So it's a real, one of the more relieving times and months that we've had in months, really. So really encourage you to get out there and enjoy it as much as possible, because as I said, we do have some interesting astrological weather coming our way in 2023. Some really nice periods, and again, some of this good vibes will continue. But we also have to be prepared for some really major shifts coming up, and some, as I said, the unfinished Capricorn business could be difficult, especially in our collective for the next, like as I said, 12 to 18 months. It's going to be a very interesting time. So stay tuned for the next report. I'll have that out for you guys next week. But until then, happy holidays, everyone. I hope you get to enjoy some time off with family and with friends and doing the things you love and just getting to be a little quieter and reflective on the year that was, making your plans, getting your house in order for 2023, and so that we can all kind of move into the new year with a renewed sense of purpose and vigor. All right. Till next time. Sadnam, everyone.